This is the knuckleball. Considered to be one of the hardest skills to learn in all of football, I wanted to see how long it would take for me to achieve such a skill.
Oh, that's weird.
Believe it or not, I have played football before. However, the knuckleball was never something that was part of my skill set. This is the story of how I learnt the knuckleball.
Come on!
On the coldest day of the year, I put on my winter jacket, grabbed my keys and headed to the local field.
It's cold. Let's get to the field. So it's probably the coldest day that we've had here in New Zealand. Oddly enough, there's people playing tennis in this weather. It's some silly people that are playing football on a frosted pitch. But I'm determined to get this knuckleball down. The knuckleball in concept is fairly simple. You want to strike the ball in such a way that it generates almost no spin on the ball, and that creates an unpredictable flight path to the back of the net. If you do, however, get spin on it, the best type of spin is top spin. That creates a very dramatic dip in the air, just like Cristiano Ronaldo made famous all those years ago against Portsmouth.
Unique way of striking the football at a dead ball.
The first step was to warm up.
Once I finished my warm-up, I wasn't entirely sure what technique I was going to use, so I figured I would intuitively try to attempt the knuckleball and see how that went. I think that was it. Starting from the 6-yard box and working my way back to the 18-yard box where I previously marked the area. I once heard that it's important to visualize your goal before you score it, and that way you might actually achieve it. Right there. That's what I want. I feel like it's getting colder. Despite being extremely cold and not being able to feel my feet, I was actually pretty happy with the progress I was making. And not to rule out any other technique, I figured I'd try something I felt a bit more comfortable with, and that's using the instep of my foot. Yeah, I'm a lot more side-footed. So I'm gonna try the side foot knuckleball, see if that works. But it was clear that this technique just wasn't gonna work for me. No. So, back to the Ronaldo. Well, that didn't work, so I was striking the ball well, but it wasn't knuckling. Yeah, I think I'm hitting it under, so it's providing a lot of backspin and no movement. Ball spins, but it doesn't meander in the air. This is hard. Realizing just how difficult this was going to be, I collected the ball once again and visualized more than ever what I was going to do with it. I stepped up to the ball, and this happened. I just like tweaked my back. I think that's it.
With my back now tweaked, I had no choice but to head home and call it a day. A full 2 weeks later and fully recovered, I decided that I was going to head back to the field and give this technique another try. Turns out that when you're at home for 2 weeks, not able to move, you can watch a lot of tutorials on how to achieve the knuckleball. So that's what I did.
With that in mind, after watching tutorial after tutorial on how to strike the ball properly, I was able to break it down into 5 easy steps. Step 1. Step 1. The the angle that you approach the ball. Taking 5 steps back and 2 steps to the left if you're right-footed. If you're left-footed, 5 steps back, 2 steps to the right. Step number 2, the run-up. Super important. The goal is to get high on your tiptoes the step before you approach the ball. That way you can get your shoulders and your torso over the top of the ball and prevent any kind of backspin. Step 3, where to strike on the ball. Always good to have a reference point, whether that's the valve or a logo, right in the center of the ball, so you can strike that part of the ball, giving yourself the best opportunity to hit the knuckleball. That brings us on to step number 4. What part of your foot do you use? You use the top part of your foot on the inside. That's the hard part of your foot, the bone of your foot. By hitting with that, it acts as a punch. And again, prevents any kind of spin on the ball, providing you hit it correctly. And then step number 5, which is arguably the most important, is to cancel the follow through. Typically, the ball will spin the way that your leg follows through kicking the ball. And by cancelling the follow through, again, it acts as that punch, and that is how the knuckleball is generated. Time for the warm up. Following a brief warm up, it was now time to apply these steps. Let's get cracking. However, I was stuck, and throwing my back out again was very much at the forefront of my mind. I don't know about this. Right, so it's just like retraining my brain to work. Weird. Someone once said that when you fall off the horse, the best bet is to get straight back on. So that's what I did too. Once I was able to get out of my own head, it was business as usual. Wish I had more than one ball. Running after the ball every time I missed. This, by far, was the hardest part of the challenge. So I know this now, but if any of you are going to try this challenge, I'd highly recommend that you have more than one ball, because you'll spend most of your time going to retrieve it. But I was making progress, and I was able to hit my first knuckleball.
I hit another couple of good shots, but none of them were knuckling. And after an hour, I was feeling pretty tired.
I think that swerved a little bit.
I decided to head home to review the footage. After checking the footage, I could see a couple of opportunities for improvement. And perhaps the most obvious for me was the strike on the ball.
I just can't stop getting that spin.
The tendency for me is to follow through with my toes, which actually creates spin on the ball. Also, I realized that I wasn't lifting my heels enough on the approach, which meant I wasn't able to get my shoulders or torso over the top of the ball, and in turn meant that I was hitting the ball with backspin. Despite feeling super tired, I decided to beat the setting sun and head back to the field for one last try. The first couple of shots were pretty poor, and even the camera was not set up correctly. So I decided to strip everything back and just focus on kicking the ball into the goal, aiming for that top corner.
Drop it. Drop it. Drop. So after a few minutes and a quick interruption, I was ready to add back the power and the technique. And this time, I really tried to emphasize lifting my heels up as I approached the ball, just so I could get my shoulders and my torso over the top of the strike. I gotta channel my inner Cristiano. Oh man, I'm getting real close.
At this point, I was able to knuckle the ball almost every time. However, striking it into the top corner wasn't going to be easy.
Oh man.
but after a few close calls, I was able to strike my first knuckleball into the corner. As it didn't knuckle as much as I wanted it to, I decided that I should try again.
Let's try a couple more times.
And as I next stepped up to the ball, this happened. It wasn't quite top corner, but it was off the crossbar, so I'll take it.
I just supposed to do it again.
This skill is incredibly hard to perfect and master, and by no means have I come even close to mastering or perfecting it. But to be able to strike a knuckleball consistently and a number of them going into the top corner, I'm pretty happy with the progress I made. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I wonder if I could do 1,000 kick-ups. What do you reckon? Maybe we'll save that for another video. Remember learning shin-ups.